Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night News for October 2021. It's nice to see you. I'm Joe Compton,
I'm Katie Salidas.
and we've got a great show for you. We've got a lot of great news, so let's not dilly dally, Katie. Let's get right into it. Our top story tonight.
All right. Well, as the bearer of bad news, as always, I am here to tell you that we have some supply chain issues that are slowing down production of books, and that's going to be ahead of the holiday season. Um, Basically, the paper, the printing, the shipping, and the warehouses, pretty much every step of the publishing and distribution process is being affected right now. So, you remember the lumber shortages earlier, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's why, construction costs were ramping up and 2x4s at your local Home Depot were costing so much. Guess what else uses lumber? 10
Yeah.
points to Ravenclaw if you guessed paper, pulp, and cardboard. All the things you need for books, graphic novels, board games, and puzzles. Everything made from paper and cardboard is having the fallout of the previous lumber supply issue. So when you combine that with the shipping and material issues that we're having right now, you get a whole lot of nothing. And that's kind of what's been happening. This is causing traditional publishers to push back on release dates. It's creating supply shortages for recently released books. And it's not just the traditional publishers that are feeling the burn here. Ingram Spark, who many of us use for our publishing and distribution, they have recently issued a statement about these supply chain issues and how they're going to be affecting us in Q4. So that takes us all the way through the Christmas season. Now, not in this statement, but on a separate statement that they released to the IBPA, they said that there's also going to probably be about a 6% increase to look forward to in production costs due to this. And that's just the US production cost. I don't know if they've got a number out officially yet for the UK or Australia, but right now it's looking like for the US, it's going to be about a 6% increase. So these things are going to get a little bit expensive and it's going to be a little harder to produce your books right now. And that's something that we all need to kind of get a handle on right now if we plan on having books out for Christmas. If you are planning to produce something to be out by the end of the year and it's not ready to produce today, I would say maybe let your people know, push back on the schedule and look to 2022 because pretty much the rest of the end of the year is going to be hard to get things out.
Well, not only that, but you have to think about if you're going to be doing events again in 2022, which it looks like regular scheduling is going to start to happen again for events. And if you don't have supplies, I know we've been all leaning on our stock up piles that we accumulated when we didn't have events from 19 and 20, but that will deplete pretty fast, and you have to be thinking probably 4 to 5 months ahead. I think in terms of this idea, because as Anita said, Drafted Digital already increased their prices. She didn't have much of a wait, and then Mike says that he hears the issues are going to get worse as the year goes on, probably into 2022, definitely into 2022. So what happens? I mean, as somebody who has some experience in the printing business, because my father was a printer for most of my young childhood and life. What happens with this is not just it's paper. Not only the paper is important, but the ink also has to be made and iodized and all that stuff. And that stuff comes in barrels and things of that nature. And these rolls that they come on, those things are all sitting in the water right now. There's a big shipping docks full of just ships just waiting to be pulled in and unloaded. And our poor longshoremen can't work fast enough to get that done, and then it's got to go through customs. And U.S. Customs issued a statement earlier today. I don't know if you saw that, Katie, but it wasn't today, but it was a couple days ago. But they issued a statement saying that if you're expecting anything to go through customs, you might be waiting up to 6 to 9 months before.
Oh my goodness, I didn't see that. No. Oof.
So that includes everything that's being shipped. So, I mean, Ingram Spark and Draft. I'm not sure where Drafted. I think they're
Drafted Digital uses Ingram Spark as their backend. So anything that's domestically printed will be affected by the supply chain issues of the materials.
Yes,
Anything that's
absolutely.
being shipped overseas is going to also be impacted by the shipping and warehousing issues that are coming up. And domestically too, the trucker shortage or the trucker potential strikes, that's going to cause problems too, because that is our lifeline. That's our transportation. So there's a lot of kinks in the system right now, and every news company that I've seen has been putting out things like, get your Christmas shopping done today because you're not
Yeah,
going to have anything if you wait till December.
yeah. So Mike asked, "How has it gotten so bad? Why are these ships stuck?" So what happened, Mike, was everything shut down. I mean, like literally, we all shut down. Entire world shut down in 2019 and 2020, and a lot of places shut down through 2020. A lot of places were doing, work from home initiatives and doing virtual things. And in 2021, we kind of started to get back a little bit toward the tail end of 2020. But what happened was nobody was doing anything. So manufacturing plants shut down. And plants are run by hundreds and hundreds of workers. So in order for hundreds and hundreds of people to work in a close enclosed space like that, in a space that has no ventilation whatsoever, these warehouses have these manufacturing plants have hardly any ventilation in them. They had to go through a rigorous protocol to get back into work and get approved. The whole take your temperature every day, get COVID tested. If you're positive, you 14-day quarantine, all these things, and that all caused this ripple effect that is now now, as we're getting back to normal, is now being affected because nobody ordered anything and nobody made anything. So now that everybody's ordering everything and making everything, everybody's doing it at one time, and thus these plants and factories are working day in and day and night, and these ships get on the water. What people don't realize is these ships, they're not the fastest things in the world. It takes months for them to go from China or Indonesia or India to America, and then they got to go through customs on top of that, and they have to get stamp of approval and all those things. So all of that just kind of was a big snowball effect,
Yeah, you
so
go
that's
from
how that
worker
happened.
shortages with the warehousings, closed down. Then
Yeah.
you've got to rehire people back on. You've got to make sure everything's COVID ready. Then you've got ships that haven't been able to dock piling up because it takes a certain amount of time to unload these cargo ships.
Yeah.
So while one dock is being filled, no other ship can dock at that point, and it backs up and it backs up and it backs up. And once they get the shipping containers off, they got to get them on trucks. Well, if there's no trucks to drive those, guess what? They sit. So further delays things getting where it's supposed to go. Every inch of the supply chain right now has a kink in it.
Yeah, and the longshoremen were at home as we all were, and so those are the ones who unload all that stuff. They're what they're having to do, because nobody's just going to sit in a boat for a month, for years, So what the people do is they bring them in, they bring the pilot and they dock them, they anchor them. So when it's time to bring the ship in, they literally have to pull the ship in. I mean, it's crazy, all this stuff. And yes, Ron, this is a happy episode. Welcome to late night news. But yes, but yeah, so it's all a domino effect, and right now we are in the middle of if you've ever seen dominoes topple, we're right in the middle of the maze toppling. It hasn't even come to the end yet. We're going to feel this for quite a long time, but you can circumnavigate that a little bit by being proactive, and
Mhm.
proactivity is how you do that. And you over order, and then you estimate that over order is going to take about 6 months. So so a lot of people who you're talking about Christmas stuff, they ordered that back in September, August to get that stuff, right? So if you're doing that now, you're not going to get it by Christmas. It's going to be tough if you're ordering big time.
I don't know. Is that a blessing in disguise if
It could
Christmas
be.
becomes light and it kind of forces us to not be as consumerist?
Well, I
I don't
mean,
know. I don't know.
Amazon is still Amazon, right? So we're going to
Ugh.
get into that a little bit later too.
Amazon is definitely still Amazon.
But yeah, so yeah, that's just the way it goes. So yeah, my hearty advice, in my humble opinion, in my small expertise here is to be prepared and just, be proactive in this respect. I think that if you're proactive, I think it will at some point trickle down to becoming a much normal process again. I think everybody's back to work now, so those issues aren't going to exist with a few bouts of overtime. And the problem is with like longshoremen and boat riggers and things like that, they all run by unions, and like you said, the trucker union too, right? So
Yeah, and they're going to demand fair wages and fair compensation for all the overtime. And another kink in the system is if the unions are told they won't get their demands met, it makes the situation where they end up looking like the bad guy if they're fighting for their rights.
yeah.
And so then you have yet another kink that gets exacerbated, which slows everything down. So it's right now, I like the proactive approach. Be proactive. If you are planning on releasing a book and you need those print releases this year, maybe not. Maybe push it back to a January, February start. Give yourself some more time for marketing. If you're planning for stockpile for conventions, plan your conventions, figure out how many months ahead of time you need, and give yourself a good 6 months head start. I mean, that's going to save you a lot of frustration.
Absolutely. And, we'll have some more goodies for you to order here. We'll talk about that a little bit later tonight. So get excited about that. So stay tuned for that. So just be proactive, I think, is our advice. So, All right. So we have our good friend Evan Gao doing some good stuff yet again. How about that, Katie? It's going to be exciting. We've got ourselves a great new adventure on Story Origin. How about that?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Evan always comes up with the best stuff. I absolutely love it. Story Origin, you've heard us talk about it before. We love them. They create things that are worthwhile to use for authors. And we authors need a leg up because it's hard enough having to wear the hat of author without having to scramble to figure out all the other marketing side of it. And what Story Origin has done now is they have added a new beta tool for authors. So authors need beta readers, right? But finding some can be tricky. Finding good ones is even trickier. And once you do have them, how do you communicate back and forth with them when you've got a book that's in the stage of needing some revisions? So you need some of that feedback. Well, Story Origin came up with a great add-on, this beta release tool, to their already feature-packed service. Already feature-packed service. I cannot talk today.
It's all right.
So it's been designed basically to streamline the beta reading process. From application to feedback, they've thought of everything that you need. You can vet potential applicants to your beta reading pool. You can set questionnaires to direct specific feedback. You can see inline comments from readers inside of the chapters, kind of like the track changes feature in Word. And you can even segment your work by chapters, which restricts access to your beta readers to only those chapters until they've given you feedback. And that, let me tell you, that is a godsend, because when you send out something for beta readers to read and they either don't finish it or they give you random feedback that doesn't fit, it's frustrating because we need that feedback to fix our stuff. That's why we're using beta readers. So when you can segment it by chapter and then add that questionnaire, okay, chapter 1, what did you think of this, and this? And you can get that feedback before anyone's allowed to move on. You've incentivized them to give the feedback because they're going to want to move on to chapter 2, hopefully. And that gives you a little bit of better direction that is specified to that certain area of your manuscript. So it's beautiful. And another feature of this, when you revise or upload a chapter, it notifies your beta readers for you. You don't have to do the extra step of communication. It's a one-stop shop. So this is available now. If you are a member of Story Origin, you should be able to access this now. And I suggest going in there and testing it out. Really play with the features, because Evan generally thinks of everything when he creates these, and he doesn't release them until he's gone through and tested them. And there's a lot in there, and I can't wait to use it, because I do that with my beta readers. I usually segment it and send out a chapter and let me get feedback, and another chapter. This takes a lot of the legwork off of the author, It allows you to do what you do best, and that's get back to writing and revising your work without having to babysit everyone else in the process. So I've got to say, Evan, like 5-star. That was an awesome add to Story Origin. Really
Yeah,
outdone yourself with this one.
he's been thinking about this a while. So we did an episode of Crossroads with Evan Gow and our next guest, which is Miss C.L. Cannon, and they talked marketing, and I had to cut out a part of it because he accidentally mentioned that he was working on this and he didn't want that to be out, and so I had to cut that out. So I knew about it almost a year ago now. So
Wow.
he's been working on it a while. So
That doesn't surprise me, though. He really does take his time to get it right.
Yeah, no, he this is my favorite part. He got some stats. I love stats. This is awesome. I know people don't like to do math. Well, Evan does it for you. So look at that. That's fantastic. I love that he's such a stat oriented application, because I think that is, it just gives you so much to chew on, and you can direct your marketing, you can direct yourself in the right direction, and I think anything I don't know about that, but I had to cut it out, so but I held on to it, but it's pretty amazing. So I worked through the whole pandemic. Okay, yeah, that's great. I love Story Origin stats. Yay! See,
Stats are a good thing. I do like stats myself. I'm not a numbers person, but I do like stats.
Yeah, stats are awesome. Yeah, they're really helpful. I mean, if you ever learn analytics, that's if I can teach authors to do one thing, it's learn analytics, because I think that helps you in every aspect of what you're trying to do, the market you're trying to reach, how you reach them, when's the best time to reach them. All these things you can find through analytics. You can find out your core audience, how old your audience is. Are they male? Are they female? Are they are they non-binary, gender neutral, who read your books? Whatever you're trying to discover, you can find through analytics really easily. And, I really dig that. So I think that's important. So I think everybody should, and Story Origin does it tenfold. So,
And he does take his time to get it right.
What else is important in this day and age, Katie? Do you know what else is important? Collaboration.
Ooh.
I think as authors, we sometimes feel very, very alone, and C.L. Cannon is going to talk exactly about that right now with her monthly marketing tip. Enjoy, everybody.
All right.
Hey guys, C.L. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another monthly marketing tip, and today we're going to be talking about collaboration. So one thing that tends to get lost when we go thinking about promotion and we get ourselves into that marketing zone in our brain is the notion that we are not alone. You don't have to be the only person who is talking about your book. And your marketing doesn't have to be solely based on just you talking about your book. And you don't have to rely on just that aspect of it. Sometimes it can be even more effective if we have other people out there singing our praises and vice versa. So there are all kinds of ways that you can collaborate with other authors, and I'm going to list a few here and discuss them very briefly because I think I've gone over some of them before. The first one we have is newsletter and BookBub swaps. And what that means is if you have a book that you want to have promoted, you would send out a request to have other authors share that book in their newsletter, or to do a BookBub review of your book and basically just recommend it. That helps you cross-promote your audiences, and you would also, do the same for their book that they're looking for more publicity on. So basically, you're just kind of swapping books and telling each other's audience about it. It's really simple and easy to set up. You can do this through Story Origin or BookFunnel, and there's also plenty of Facebook groups out there. I'm in a whole bunch of them. You can reach out to other authors in your genre via email or by on Messenger, or just any way that you can get in contact with them. And, mention that you would like to do a swap. And the worst thing that can happen is that they say no. And the best thing is that you get to show your book to a broader audience. The next thing we have are group videos on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. Any video platform, really, you can do this. This is a really cool, fun way that you can work with a whole bunch of other authors to get your books out there. I've seen a lot of them where there's a theme, and then everybody kind of throws the book either up or down or over, and someone edits all this together. And it looks like you're throwing books to each other, and you're like showing off your own book to this large audience on TikTok, where you all post this video, or on Instagram, or wherever you're posting it. But you all look like you are throwing these things to each other, or you're all reacting to some like things, something that's everybody is reacting to. It's kind of just like a big collaboration where it makes it feel like you were all together. And it is attention grabbing, and a lot of them are really funny, and it's just a great way to get to know other authors, and especially other authors in your genre that you can cross promote with later, and for authors to get to know you and to get a sense of your personality as well. So those are really awesome. There are book fairs, and in a book fair you are on one large landing page, and it has your book in there. But all the authors are working together to promote that one landing page, and that is getting a whole lot more people's eyeballs on your book. Another one is anthologies and box sets. Anthologies and box sets are when you are in one publication with a group of other authors. We do a lot of anthologies at Fiction Atlas Press. We usually have 10 to 14 authors together, and that marketing power that you get from having so many authors together really helps you sell more books and helps you get more notoriety, and it also helps you socialize with other people in your genres and get to know people, and it's just a really fun experience. I know some box sets even have upwards of 40 people, so sometimes there's larger and smaller ones that can help you get your foot in the door and help you not only with getting more sales on the content that you have, content that you're going to be producing, and it helps you be able to kind of socialize and mingle with other authors. There's author engagement pods. Author engagement pods are usually like a little group chat on Instagram or TikTok, or I don't think you can do a group chat on TikTok yet, but like somewhere where on a platform where you have a group messenger chat, and you will post the links to like your new videos or your new posts, and everybody in that little engagement pod will go and they will like your post or your video. They will comment on it with something meaningful, and you kind of do that for each other's videos, and that helps the algorithm know that this content is worthy. So you're basically just kind of boosting each other. There's also things like interviews and roundtables, like on GoIndieNow. Anytime that you can interview another author, or you can talk with another author on a video or audio setting, that helps your audiences get to know you better. But you're also pulling in from either if you're a one-on-one interview, you're pulling from each other's audiences. And if it is a roundtable, you have several different authors to pull that audience in, so that more people will get to know you that may not have discovered you yet. I've found so many authors on GoIndieNow and on a lot of other YouTube shows. So it's a great way to network and to get the word about your book out there. Social media promos and swaps. You can do, it's the same basis as a newsletter or BookBub swap, but you are swapping your social media posts. So you will post about someone else's book and they will post about your book. Sometimes I even saw some friendly competitions, like who can get the most pre-orders or who can get the most reactions or something like that, where you are trying to get people to engage with your content and kind of forming like little factions, but in a very friendly, not too competitive way. And that really helps, like, people really get into that, and it's engaging, and they want to help the author of their choice, or sometimes they'll help both. But it really helps to get people excited about what you're doing. You can also do blog posts about other books. I do a lot of listicles, and what that is like I'll make a list of something that pertains to my book. Like if I wrote a vampire book, I would do like top 10 vampire novels from this year that I'm excited about, or the best vampire characters, or something like that. And you put your own book in there, but you're also putting books of fellow authors in there too, and you're tagging them on social media, and then they'll probably share it because it mentions their book. And so you're collaborating without having to be so hands-on. It's a great way to get publicity and to build backlinks, which are really important for SEO. So that's another option. And the last option I have is reviews. Some people don't like to do reviews for other authors. I don't generally take review requests. If there's a book that I have been excited to read and that I really think that I will like, I will read it. And if I really loved it, I will leave a review and put it on my blog and up on all my social media posts just to help support that author. I don't really get anything in return except for maybe their attention, but it gives you content when you're looking for content for your blog. And it's just a fun thing to do. I think it actually does help a little bit with showing your readers that you're also a reader and that, you have some of the same experiences that they have. So those are quite a few ways that you can collaborate with other authors. I hope at least one of them helps you, and I hope that you guys go out there and find someone to collaborate with. There's probably 100 other ways you can collaborate with other authors that we could mention, but we don't have all day. That's it for this month's marketing tip. As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can always email me at info@fiction-atlas.com or message me on social media. I'm always here to help about just about anything that you need. But I will see you guys next month, and I hope you have a great one. Remember, it's always time to go indie now. Bye.
Yep, as always, a great marketing tip for sure.
She never disappoints.
Never. She's got it going on. And as Vanessa said, really good segments. Yes, I agree.
And I have to second that comment that she made about not doing swaps directly with other authors for reviews. Reviewing another book, yes, absolutely. If you choose to review it, definitely. Don't get into the author swaps, because a lot of times they expect a certain review because they're planning on giving you a certain review. And that's shill reviews aren't good, and that just creates bad blood and not worth the headache, guys.
Yeah, Mike also mentioned her mention of TikTok. He says one thing I haven't used to my advantage yet. Me too. Lauren says he says that Lauren, his wife, has about 23K. That's pretty awesome. And that's cool, man. Yeah. Hey, look, if you can use other people, I mean, that's, especially your wife, I think that's pretty cool. So, why not take advantage of
resources?
Yes.
I still haven't figured TikTok out.
Yeah.
It looks fun. It's great to watch. It's great to get lost on for hours, but I'm like brain dead when it comes to actually making videos to be part of all of these fun little things that she talked about doing.
Well, if you're into getting lost for hours, I've got good news for you today, because we have a brand new independent movie dedicated to indie films site that you can go, a streaming service, just like your Disney Pluses and your Paramount Plus and all, and your HBO Maxes. It's called Fandor. And Fandor's been around for a while, but they've revamped their site, and they've now put together an opportunity for everybody to be a part of what they're doing. And they are the leading independent streaming entertainment company, super serving enthusiastic fan bases. And they announced that the evolution of their pioneering streaming service, Fandor, which was named the Netflix for indie film by Wall Street Journal, has begun. Their new look will come with a wider footprint and with hundreds of new acquisitions from an array of rights holders. So they've got over 1,000 hours right now of independent titles, including exclusive acquisitions that they've made from international film festivals and acclaimed titles from existing partners and key providers. That means if you're out there as a filmmaker and you're making films and you're showing at a film festival, Fandor's looking at you and they're looking to find you and bring you in. They have an intuitive user experience with a continuous refresh of independent titles each month, all designed to create the ultimate celebration of the cinephile culture. So if you're a cinephile, this is a really great place to get lost in. It's, their president mentioned that with an over a decade of experience they have in streaming independent cinema, they're proud to bring new life to a service so dedicated to independent filmmakers and the incredible films that they create. We're confident audiences will enjoy the thousands of hours of exceptional films that they have carefully curated, ranging from art house to grindhouse to film noir to blaxploitation to comedy, drama, LGBTQ plus movies, J-horror, and everything in between. With the relaunch of Fandor, the message to cinephiles is that it's film, not content. They were originally launched by South by Southwest in 2011, and they poured a lot into this. They have another service that they're adding to it called Matchcast, Matchpoint, which is a technology that is going to do blogging and reviews. You never know. You may see a certain somebody from GoIndieNow on there doing some reviews. I've talked to them, so we may be collaborating at some point. But their service is going to have all kinds of content in addition to just films, articles about film, the tips to make film, all these great things. So they're really building a community sense with this idea. And it's only $3.99 if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber per month. So you can also try it out right now. They have a 7-day free trial. And I'm telling you, in 7 days, you're going to fall in love with this site. It's got so many incredible films that you've never heard of with people you have heard of. It's not just like really, really vast independent films like I like, where I go really deep into the independent film idea. But they have those too, but they also have incredible a library of films from actors you've heard of, from directors you've heard of, from writers you've heard of, from books even. There's a lot of great books that have been indie books that have been turned into films in this circle. I have a whole category for it, actually. It's pretty cool. So if you're out there thinking about you want to turn your book into a movie, get that done and then go to Fandor and get on there, because they're gonna bring you on and it's gonna be awesome. And it's a great service. They also have talked about how they are servicing the filmmaker, that the deals that they make with the filmmakers are more lucrative than most streaming services would provide for them. This is a big deal in the music industry right now with people not getting paid for being on Spotify and things like that, that the revenue that they generate is not being residually affected to their pockets. And that's a big deal. And they're taking small percentages and only getting little rewards for it. Well, Fandor's not in the business of screwing filmmakers. They know it's their lifeblood. So they're really adamant about taking care of the filmmaker in this respect. So for $3.99, in 7-day free trial, I don't see why not. You don't try it out, because I think like I said, you'll get lost. Very cool. I'm a huge, there's tons of documentaries on there. It's fantastic. It's really good. I think it's just an amazing idea. So
I can imagine you being completely zoned out the second you got that. Just like, what do I watch? There's too much.
Yeah, there's a lot I haven't even seen on there, so that's pretty cool. And then what's really cool is then you see movies that I have reviewed on there, which is really great to see that these guys are getting recognized and being put on there, because that's part of what we do here. We try to get enough eyeballs on them, and they're getting eyeballs on them through these film festivals too, which is great. So deals are being made, and that's really awesome for the small independent film festivals that have struggled to get recognition for that. And so I think all of this is super positive. I'm super excited about this site and this company. They're really, really well versed and really well done the way they're run. So it's going to be awesome, and everybody should check it out. So
it sounds wonderful. And like, we've all Netflixed ourselves out, guys. So let's head on over and start the indie, what is it? Indian chill now.
yeah, nice. Well, they are the Netflix of indie film. That's what Wall Street Journal said. So,
there you go. There you go.
I'm sure they're going to have TV shows to binge as well. So, once they do that, then all bets are off. But we may never see Katie Salidas again if they do that. But we see her now, and she's gonna jump on a soapbox here for you all tonight, I think, a little bit, because we discussed this a couple weeks ago. Ron, you were on that show if you're still watching. We talked about KDP venturing into the hardcover books, and Katie's got more on that in terms of pricing and ideas, and actually maybe a little good news in this. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what Katie's.
It's still Amazon, so you always have to take everything with a grain of salt. But Amazon has finally rolled out hardcover distribution. So that, again, gives us some more options when it comes to publishing our books. Typically, we've gone either through Ingram, which is, kind of the gold standard for a lot of us indies. Then there's also Lulu, and Barnes & Noble has theirs. And each service out there, and there's a few I won't mention because they really seriously price gouge. There's a lot of services out there that can get you to produce the hardcover book. The quality is going to be different. The pricing is going to be different. So you really have to do your homework when it comes to putting these books out. Now, I put KDP over Ingram in just one category only, and that is the fact that Ingram charges that $49 setup fee. KDP doesn't. If that Ingram setup fee was not there, it would be Ingram 100%. But because there's that $49 setup fee, and as we talked about before, they have pulled back on their coupon usage, so it's harder to get around that fee. That puts KDP in the forefront, especially when it comes to their pricing. Now, if you'll notice on this chart that I created, anything that's not color tends to favor KDP as the cheaper option. So this is a good thing for you. There is one caveat, and this is one that I have ranted about in the past, and I will continue to rant about. I have no clue why a proof copy from KDP has to have that damn stripe across the cover that says this is not for resale. When you purchase a book, and yes, as the author, you're purchasing it at wholesale. When you purchase a book that is a proof and it is quality, ready to go, it's going to be exactly what you're going to be selling, you should be able to recoup your cost on it, especially when the wholesale cost can be anywhere between $12 and $20 some odd dollars. You really want to be able to recoup your cost on that book. You can't recoup your cost on a book that has a big old stripe on the front cover and back cover that says not for resale. So that pisses me off. I don't know why they do that. They never had it when Amazon was running CreateSpace. It was their own company and they didn't have it. But when they decided to start KDP, you get the damn stripe across the front. So that is my biggest beef with KDP. Their print is not bad. Their color options, they do have a premium and a standard, which I haven't tested them out to see how quality they are, but their print color is slightly different than Ingram's. Ingram is still better on print color depth. So you're still going to get the better quality color printing from Ingram, and Ingram is cheaper minus the $49 fee to set up the book if you go with color printing. But otherwise, KDP, pretty good choice for everything else, and that includes the hardcover through KDP as long as it's not a color interior. Outside covers are always in color. Don't worry about that. The inside, whether it's color or not, that's where the prices are really going to jump up there. And you can see this on the breakout here. Anywhere that there's color, there's a huge per page charge compared to the non-color version. Now, again, we're small businesses here, so we've got to consider these costs. as an indie, your wholesale cost is the cost that you pay when you buy your books wholesale, but you have to set a retail price. And that retail price has to be enough to cover the retail cost minus the wholesale cost and leave a little left over in royalties for you to actually, I don't know, earn something off your book. So taking as an example, let's say we're looking at a 6x9 paperback book, 300 pages, and we're going to go for hardcover. We're looking at about $9.10. Sorry, there's a typo on that screenshot. Sorry about that, guys. We're looking at about $9.10 as your wholesale cost for that hardbound at 6x9, 300 pages. Now, that's not the price you're going to charge. Obviously, you're going to have set a higher retail price. Let's say you charge a list price of $20. If you're going to sell through Amazon Direct, you get the 60% royalty. You would earn $2.90 royalty on that sale. Sounds pretty good, right? However, if you try to elect for expanded distribution, that book no longer qualifies because you will be in the negative about $1.10 if you charge $20 for your retail price. You actually have to bump your book up to roughly $25 retail price to be able to earn a royalty through expanded distribution. So $20 to $25, that's a huge gap when it comes to what a customer is going to be willing to pay. And if a customer is not willing to pay the price that you set for your book, you don't earn any money from it. So you've got to really consider whether it's going to be worth it or not to go for the hardbound option. A lot of times it's your fans, your super fans. Sometimes it's collectors, things like that. And limited distribution is okay. But consider your cost. Your retail cost is going to be high. And because you're doing a different format than your traditional paperback, you're going to have the cover formatted for a hardbound, which is a different dimension format than your paperback. So it's getting back with your cover artist to get that reformatted. You're going to have to reformat the interior depending on if you change the size of the interior. So there are other costs that come into play before you produce the book. So I'm always cost conscious. I always tell people to create their budget, to stick with their budget so that they don't go overboard when it comes to producing a book. You've got to consider all the numbers. Is doing a hardcover going to be worth it for you? Is doing a hardcover in color going to be worth it for you? Look at all your costs up front. Make a spreadsheet. Figure out if you can do the formatting for the interior, if you can do the formatting for the cover, because it's going to be a little bit tricky. If you can do it all yourself, then you don't have to worry as much. Can you set your retail price at something that's going to earn you a proper royalty? Are you going to elect for expanded distribution and have to increase your price by upwards of $5 in order just to break even almost? These are things you have to consider when going hardbound. It's very nice to have them in your hand, and they do make collector's items, but make sure the cost is worth it before you jump into it. That's my rant.
I'm wondering, I have a question for you actually. How do you feel about the laminate cover idea?
The case laminate, I love them.
Yeah,
because
you're not a jacket cover person. You're a case laminate.
My problem with jacket covers is they are so easy to come off and rip and bend and fray. I've done all mine in case laminate. I like the feel of it. It's nice and it's hard. You can't really scratch it up. It looks good. It feels good in your hands. So I think for the durability factor, and they still look very pretty, case laminate is an excellent way to go. If you want to go super fancy and do the wrap cover that's the jacket, go for it. It's going to be a little bit harder to do, but you can do it.
So my issue isn't the pricing. The printing is expensive, and if you're doing color and you're doing black and white, I get all that because that's the world I know pretty well. My issue with all this is that Amazon, it keeps creating all these neat things for people to try and involve themselves in and investigate, and yet they're not changing the fundamental issue that they have. Because with hardcovers are, as you said, collector items. They're sellable items that are live in people's hands and things of that nature. But if you're going to bigger cons and bigger festivals, you can't order books. If you're going to a book signing, you can't order books through a bookstore through KDP. It's still the same thing. It's because it's not a returnable, factionable item, and that is something that is required by bookstores. And so, even if KDP perfects this process, and I really do contend this, It's not KDP. It's user error in a lot of these circumstances that people are not understanding that these covers are bigger. Laminate is a different shadowing, and it's a different light source. And so you have to take all that into consideration when like you said, you need to get with your designer and design the cover for that format. Because if you're not doing that and you're just taking the picture that you thought was going to be on the 6x9 and blowing it up, it's going to look like garbage. It's going to look like crap. I've seen so many of these pictures, these side by sides. This is my KDP. This is my Ingram, and I'm looking at it and going, yeah, there's complete differences because you just blew up the picture. I can tell when you stretch a picture. I can tell when you move a picture around. Yeah, of course there's going to be differences. You can't shit on KDP if you're not doing it right, And so I think a lot of people are just wanting to shit on Amazon and KDP, and I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of it's user error. Personally, that's my humble opinion. And I could be wrong on that aspect as well. I think there is some differences. There is darker and lighter shading and things like that. But you can fix that too, I think. But
their color is definitely different.
They use different inks and different presses. That's why it's a whole different process. But
and I've had it go the other way too, where I've had the interior on an Ingram book print incorrectly, but it print just fine through KDP. So it's two companies, two different printers, but you have to make sure you've done your homework on your end. It's got to meet the dimensions. It has got to be appropriately sized. It has got to have the right cutoffs. You have to get it correct, and they give you the template to do it.
Yeah.
So you have resources.
But the whole idea is that the returnable aspect of this is just not reasonable, and they're not fixing that problem. You would think a multi-billion-dollar company like this would have some clout to do that, but they don't want to work with the Barnes and Noble. They want to compete with them. They want to drive them out of business. So they're not, while Barnes and Noble is recording profits for the first time in years, and independent bookstores are thriving, Amazon's not getting on board because it hurts Amazon's image to do so, which I think is just ridiculous.
Amazon doesn't have to.
I know, that's the problem. This is the whole problem with the whole idea of everything that Amazon is about, right? It's just, that's the whole issue with the Zon, and it's disheartening because I think in some respects KDP has some advantages, and
one of the things that's always boggled my mind was they owned CreateSpace. They owned it. Why did they try and reinvent the wheel through KDP? CreateSpace worked so much better. In fact, I actually enjoyed working more with CreateSpace than I do Ingram. Their customer service was good. Their print quality was good. Never had issues with shipping. They were great. You go to KDP and you order 10 copies of a book, you'll get 10 packages, individual packages, and not all of them will be received on the same day. You get the stupid stripe across the front of your proof copy that basically ruins it. Whereas what did they do on CreateSpace? They used to just stamp on the back, proof copy. Big deal. On a blank page, you stamp proof copy. It does not take away the quality of my book. But when you ruin the goddamn cover art by striping across the front, not for resale, and the back too, it's like, now you've just cost me money. And I don't like it when people cost me money because I run on such a tight budget as it is. That $5 means something, bud.
I know that we have updates, but the chat really chimed in on this topic. First off, Hardcover Katie sounds gangster. I agree. Ron says he's always watching. That's good. I'm happy to hear that. And that's a goof. They need to fix it. And I sell mine at 16. And I think they're about 8 wholesale. When I mail them to people, I charge 24. Does that sound like, that's pretty ballparking. I mean, that's for non-colored print, your idea.
Paperback is going to be probably $5 max wholesale cost. So 16 is about the average for an indie book, $15, $16. But when your wholesale cost starts out at $9.10, you have to bump it up that much more to cover it because that 60-40 split, 60 on Amazon and 40 on Extended, that actually makes a huge difference in the royalty calculation when you try to figure out what retail price you can set it at and still earn a royalty. And Amazon will not let you set a price if it doesn't earn you a royalty. You have to make at least a couple of cents before they approve that price.
Yeah, and I want to comment that I think Mike's doing something smart, really smart here, and that is, I'm not saying that Mike doesn't do things smart. That came out wrong. But what I'm saying is he's really got a really smart idea here when he's charging people for 24 for the mail copy to cover the cost of postage. That's fantastic. That's a great idea. I think more indies should gravitate toward that idea.
Another thing,
not all
send it
postage.
media mail. If you send it media mail, your cost will always be low. And that way you don't have to feed it. You don't have to pass it on to the consumer. You can still keep your cost fairly low and you're still getting a royalty, even if you do order your own and then ship your own. They just have to be willing to wait an extra week.
Mm-hmm. Wrap covers fit for certain books. I agree. I like that idea. Katie likes it hard, durable, and rip proof. Yeah,
that's right.
There's a difference in quality between Ingram and KDP. Quality is I think that's an idea, but I do believe in you can fix that. I think that's something that's fixable. I really do. I think from what I've seen of the darker shading and the lighter shading idea, that's a fixable thing you can do within, you could do that within Photoshop and fix that. So, and how you do that is you overextend the lighting or you dim it, on the shading and that'll fix it. It's something you can do. I agree with Joe Compton. People are the worst. I didn't say people are the worst. I just said some people who don't know how to do this All right. Have a good evening, Mike. Thanks for coming by. Authors need to
they provide a template. It's not that hard. And let me can I step on a soapbox for just a second here? It really bothers me when I get a client that comes to me and they need help with their cover art and they worked with a cover artist and that cover artist gave them a front picture, a back picture, and a spine without sizing anything. Nothing's put together. And they're like, how do I upload this to KDP? First of all, you go back to your cover artist and you tell them to get the goddamn template and put the fucker together. Oh, I didn't know I had to do that. How are you a cover artist if you don't know this? This is like cover art 101. Where's your book being sold? Where's the template I need to use? Come on. Sorry.
No, that's great. Bookstores want to Amazon as a competitor, and it's the vice versa as well. I mean, that I know
it's
for
the
a fact.
Returnability factor that really does it because Barnes and Noble doesn't want to waste money.
Yeah, I know for a fact that Barnes and Noble has reached out to Amazon. I've seen letters where they've said, hey, look, let's work together. I know for a fact I've seen it. So I know that it's a lot on Amazon more than anything. But and if you make that bed and you lie in it, you got to lie in it.
Mm-hmm.
So and a lot of independent bookstores are like, we're fighting the Zon. So there is that idea too, right? So I extrapolated. All right. Yeah. All right. I never know what I'm doing is part of my secret. Okay. Well, yeah, that works. But you know what I've seen, Josh, you can say this, but you might not know what you're doing, but at least you have some idea of how to be professional about it. I mean, there is a little method to your madness. I'm totes going to play with hardcover soon. Awesome. With proper sizing and bleed. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Bleed is so important. I mean, you gotta know that. I'm not talking about bars. I'm talking about that and I corrected. I said that too. Yeah. So there's a big mood around it. Yeah, big time.
Yep.
And good for them. I like that idea. I like that we're fighting back a little bit. Bleed is a wonderful thing. Yes, it is. All right. Do you have any updates on Audible Gate? I know that's a big one we've always been covering. We're kind of almost famous for it at this point. So
we're still watching. Remember, I said last month that there was a case that we were trying to follow on. We're still watching that one, and they have rolled out their official donation page now to gather funds for the legal case. So if you go to audiblegate.com, you'll find all of the information there. They have a direct link to their donation page. All of the information is listed. There's a bunch of different posts about why they're doing this, what has happened, what they've uncovered, every step of the way. They let you know what's going on, and they are prepping for the big fight, but it's going to cost money because we're going up against the Zon. So
Yeah.
any donation is great. And if you can't donate, spread the word because that helps too.
Yeah, absolutely. Do that for sure. And I put the Audible Gate link in there so you guys can go check it out if you need to go check them out for the first time. I'm sure everybody here has done that already, but we can.
Oh, I would assume so, as much as we've been talking about it.
Yeah, but you know, I wanted to mention real quickly. I did a story on the Red camera, the new 8K Red camera, the Raptor, and the reviews are out of this world. I mean, I've never seen a 4,000 review site where there's 4,000 reviews and they're all 5 stars. I've never seen that in my
Wow.
entire life. So that's amazing, to say something. So if you're thinking about, investing in some equipment out there, if you want to be a filmmaker, or you're thinking about, I don't know if you really want to, capture your kid's ballet with a Red camera. You can do that with an iPhone, but
Dude, I would. I would.
but this camera is all the rave right now. So I think there's also a couple productions already in progress with it. So I'm real excited to see an 8K movie. That's going to be fantastic. I think that's going to be something special and an experience like no other. So I'm real excited about that. I'm also real excited, Katie. We're going on the road, you and I. How cool is that? Right? We're
So
headed
excited.
to the ATL, the big ATL, everybody. Yes, we're going to Atlanta. We're going to be covering Multiverse next weekend. In fact, we will be there. You'll see a bunch of live. So if you haven't subscribed to GoIndieNow, this is the greatest opportunity to do that right now, because you're going to get a ton of stuff thrown at you this weekend live. We'll be live. We'll be doing interviews. We'll be covering the event. We're so excited to be there. We're so happy that Multiverse wanted us to be there. Thank you to Multiverse. We're super excited to be there and covering that event in all its glory. And I will do exactly that. And I will be writing something about it after the event as well. And I'm sure Katie might express some thoughts as well as somewhere on her blogs and everything that she does, social media wise. So check that out, everybody. We're real excited to be there, and can't wait for that. And along with that, we're going to be breaking some news, Katie, at Multiverse. Late Night News is going to have an extension show at Multiverse because we have a very special announcement happening that I think everybody here is going to really, really be excited about. It's not about us. We're just breaking the news. But I am personally involved in what the news is about. But that's me personally. That's not GoIndieNow. And it's real exciting. And I can tell you right now, if you've ever wanted to know things and really know them, this is going to change the game for you. I really think that. And that's the only hint, the only little tease I'm going to give about it. It's going to be an awesome, awesome announcement, and I can't wait to have the person who is going to be announcing it hang with us and talk about it. So be sure to stay close. We'll tell you when we'll be live with that person to do that. So that's going to be exciting, as is always exciting. So someday we'll get a new graphic, but I'm just going to go with the old one for now. Tomorrow night, Spilling Ink is live, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tell everybody about your show, Katie.
Oh, you should know us by now. We take you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. And we have got a returning guest who is one of our favorites. And I don't know, should I tease it, Joe? Should I tell him who it's going to be?
Sure.
All right. Well, for those of you out there watching, those who catch the later, we will have AF Stewart visiting us. And you've seen her on GoIndieNow. You've seen her on her own show. She is always a friend to indies, and she's always sharing great information. And she writes some awesome books, does some amazing book covers. Well, we are going to break all of that down for you tomorrow on Spilling Ink.
Awesome. And we've got This Week in Indies coming up on Sunday, and I'm real excited about it. Mr. Ron Lauren and I will be there, and we are going to be dressing up, everybody. So we're going to be nice and fancy in our fancy clothes, doing our fancy talk. It'll be the same old show, but it will just be nicer
Fancy.
looking. I'll be putting on my Sunday best for sure, and we'll be. So come and join us for that live and hang out with us. You're welcome to get dressed up on your end as well. If you want to, send us a picture of that, that's fine. But please be dressed up. Don't send us any weird pictures. We want, but
So is that the
I
indie
probably
brunch?
opened Pandora's box there, but
Would that qualify as the indie brunch?
indie brunch. Yes, it would be. Yes. Nice. I love that. That's fantastic. I'm using that. I'm stealing that.
Do it.
But that being said, this is a great show. Thank you everybody hanging out with us as always. You guys are awesome, and we really appreciate it. Because why, Katie?
Because it's always time to go indie now.
All right, we'll see you next month. We'll see you next weekend, some of you in Atlanta at Multiverse. Super excited.